I just want to make sure. I thought I was watching Willis Reed. Now, because Oklahoma was at the press conference, they're talking about Baker. He's a little under the weather. You're going to have to ask Coach Riley, blah, blah, blah. And out comes Baker Mayfield.
Well, he was watching on TV back in his room. He said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I don't want my teammates to have to answer for me. So here it came.
You didn't have a problem the other day when they were answering questions for you. And now all of a sudden, Joe, I guess he took some Theraflu and he came out there and he was like, oh, I'm here. I'm my teammate.
Did you hear his voice? Can you fake that? Can you fake being that hoarse? Huh?
Did you see them tears? Did you see them tears at the press conference? Can you fake tears? They're called actors.
So you're saying that Baker Mayfield is a fraud, that he's an actor and that he's faking being sick. So he's building in an excuse. So he has an excuse when he plays poorly and loses to Georgia.
Then if he plays well, what are they going to say, Joe? Oh, my goodness. That was the greatest performance since Michael Jordan's flu game against Utah Jazz. I know what is going on. Skip, you've covered this game long enough. It's not good enough to predict scores. Sports is about narratives. It's about storylines. You know this, Skip Bayless.
Did you hear what Chris Fowler said, what Kirk Herbstreit said after they talked to Baker Mayfield 2 days before that press conference, which was on Saturday? They said if the game had been today, 2 days before, there's no way he could play. You're the one who's always sniffing on this show.
Joy.
You're always sniffing.
Oh, man.
I guess you always
I don't know what's going on. My
excuses.
doctor told me there's some kind of bug going on.
There is a bug going around.
And,
Terrible.
they need to stop it.
Well, go
you
ahead.
need to stop it too, Skip
He's
Bayless.
sick,
You know,
they have no chance, so go ahead. Tell me what's going to happen.
first of all, Skip, listen, I don't know. The closest thing they've seen to what Georgia possessed is Ohio State. And they did a number on Ohio State. No question about it. Baker Mayfield had a career day at Ohio State. And we know they're littered with NFL prospects on that defense at Ohio State. But so is Georgia. They can run. They rally to the football. I love Mel Tucker, who was a former defensive coordinator in this league. He was interim head coach at Buffalo for a period of time.
He was.
And Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
You know, when anybody that, you know, the SEC about to have 4 guys that was on Nick Saban's staff at one point or another coaching in the SEC. That lets you know. That old tree bears fruit. You want to win, you better go get somebody from Coach Saban's
I
staff.
think they want to run so they don't get torched again in the championship.
Oh, yes, Skip Bayless. It's going to be a very, very interesting game here. Big 12 deep. Big 12 doesn't play defense, Skip. We know that. Let's not pretend that, they play defense. They do not play defense in that conference. It's all about scoring points. Georgia will try to run the football. Chubb Rock, number 27, Sonny Michael and Swift, they got 3. They go 3 deep at the running back position. They can run with power. They can run with speed. They have a true they do have a true freshman at quarterback.
They do.
And what they try to do is take as much pressure off of his shoulders. I don't believe the Georgia Bulldogs are equipped to come from behind. They need to keep this game close until they get into the fourth quarter and take the game over by running the football. I don't know if Georgia can run at every position. They got Buckets Award win at the middle linebacker. I'm going to take Georgia in an upset, in a very close ball.
Upset their favor.
No.
What are you talking about upset? Now you're trying to build in an excuse.
Nope, upset.
Oh, I picked the upset. They're the favorite. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
Y'all got the
upset.
You guys have.
My guy's sick. You just said it.
Y'all got the Heisman Trophy winner, Skip. Georgia has a true freshman. I'm going to take Georgia in a close ball game, winning it at the end 31-30 over the Sooners. And it will be an SEC champion.
All SEC championship.
In Georgia, that's how it's supposed to be.
So, before I begin, I will disqualify myself because I was sooner born and sooner bred, and when I die, I will be sooner dead. That's right out of the fight song. But I was born into it. I can't help it. It's in my blood. So you can disqualify everything I say from this point forward. But to your first point, I have great respect for Kirby Smart and his coaching staff. I have way more respect for Kirby Smart than I had for Mark Richt, who year after year after year had just about the most NFL talent in the country. Loaded. Every time I look up on Sunday afternoon, I always look up, who's that guy? And I look up where he's from. He's from Georgia, too? They're all from Georgia.
Geno Atkins, Justin Houston.
They're everywhere. Todd Gurley, for that matter. They're everywhere, and they have nothing to show for it.
Nope.
Until now, Kirby Smart's legit. He has instilled a backbone and a physicality and a mental toughness in that team I have not seen under Mark Richt. So I'm going to give you that. But I'm also going to remind you that my Oklahoma defense had to hear all week long about how much more physical Georgia was, that Georgia is going to bully them and dominate them and control the clock and control the ball and play keep away and keep Baker Mayfield and company on the sidelines by shortening the game.
Yep.
And my defense is going to rise and shine today because what it does best is stop the run. And what Georgia really does is run the football with those two, okay? And you said it, and that's what they do. And they're two outstanding running backs. The quarterback is a true freshman.
True.
Going up against just about as experienced a college quarterback as you will ever see in Baker Mayfield. Huh?
That takes some away from me. Sick, though, right?
Baker Mayfield will be about 100% by this afternoon right here in Los Angeles area in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. So I don't need an excuse. I just need Baker Mayfield, who is simply the most competitive college quarterback I've seen since Tim Tebow. And yet there's one huge difference between Baker Mayfield and Tim Tebow. Baker Mayfield is the most deadly accurate thrower in college football. Baker Mayfield led college football, not this year, but the last 2 years in QBR. He is the classic lethal combination of riverboat gambler who does not make big mistakes. Wow, that's a scary combination. And by the way, as I told you, speaking of sick, this offense is sick, as in virtually unstoppable, and it has been all year. And you can have your two backs. I'll take my three backs because starting with Rodney Anderson, I don't know if you've checked him out. He's starting to look like Todd Gurley to me. He is an explosive runner who can catch it and run with it. And I'll throw in Trey Sermon, and I'll just keep going down the list because that offensive line of Oklahoma's is the best in the country. And you have two wideouts in Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb who can flat out fly. And throw in a little Jeff Badette. All of a sudden, it's hard to cover him because in the middle of the field is a guy who, Mark Andrews, who is, this may be a little bit of an exaggeration, but he is at least the college Gronk. He is the equivalent of Gronkowski in college football. And when in doubt, Baker Mayfield just throws it to him. And check out Dimitri Flowers today because all he does is catch touchdowns like Chris Carter. And he's a hybrid tight end. There are weapons everywhere. And the maestro is Lincoln Riley, who I don't know a better play caller than Lincoln Riley.
You ran Bob Stoops out of town.
Okay, I did. And I love Lincoln Riley. I did not love that home loss. But again, they put up 513 yards, and they didn't take Iowa State seriously enough, and Iowa State went on to beat TCU and then won its bowl game against Memphis. So they're a legitimate threat who went in and pulled off the upset of the year, I thought, in college football to win 38-31 at Oklahoma. But it wasn't the offense's fault that day, and Baker Mayfield had a big day, threw for over 300, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he flat out torched Ohio State in its horseshoe, and Urban Meyer said after that game, in all my career, I've never had a quarterback play a better game against me, especially at home, than that kid.
Yeah, Ohio State was handcuffed. Yeah. JT Barrett couldn't throw. They can't run the ball like Georgia can. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out just how good Baker Mayfield is today in about 4 or 5 hours, Skip Bayless.
Yep.
You know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen.
You know
but
what?
Go ahead and predict your little score.
You know what? My little score. What's happening right now is that this offense is the equivalent of the Oklahoma wishbone in the 70s and 80s where your scout team can't simulate it. It can't get you ready because it's going to hit you like an Oklahoma tornado. It's going to come from all angles, and it's going to come fast, and they won't be quite ready for it. And Baker Mayfield's going to put on a show. And you could say sick or not sick. I think he's going to be just fine today.
He's been just fine the whole week. Trying to play it up. I know about narratives and storylines, but I tell you what, you remember what happened in the 80s? There was a team out of South Florida that came playing a 4-3 defense, and what did they do to that wishbone? You remember the Miami Hurricanes?
Do I?
What did they do to that wishbone?
Well, it did a lot of things. It only won 3 national championships, so I'd say it did okay.
Exactly.
But I'll give you that. But right now, this is the first of this kind of offense. So this is the first time they're going to see it. I say Oklahoma puts up 30, which you said also, but I think my defense will come to play today and be the unsung star of this game and hold Georgia to 24. 30 to 24 Sonic Boomer Sooner.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.